Bonjour, mon petit internet, and you beautiful creatures of the beyond. Look what I have made here. An Art Deco card with futuristic elements. Last time we left quite abruptly, but then I prototyped more things, I went through different shapes. I'm quite happy with how it ended up to be, and I have a few variations, but some of them look better, some of them look more simple, but we shall see. So let's go through the steps of how I tried to envision this. First of all, I want to tell you that I've made a lot of mistakes. Some of them were intentional, some of them were not. But if you're going to look at the grid of the document properties now, I have changed the width and height to be much bigger, so the quality would be much larger when I export. And I didn't quite took into account that when I would enlarge this, I would have to readapt the grid. And everything is just slightly off. Well, some elements, so they don't snap into position as elegantly as I would like it, but still, the composition is still symmetrical. But I have abandoned the path effect with symmetry simply because I had a lot of issues when undoing things. Usually when you do a path effect with symmetry, with mirror symmetry, you would go for separating the elements, and I did 4 sides. And the thing is, every time I would undo to a specific step backwards, it would disable those separations. And yeah, it's kind of finicky, so I abandoned it and I went... Well, first of all, let's enable this. These are the colors that I mostly used, and I'll explain about these ones. So I went for clones. As you can see, this is the bottom clone. And on the top I have left, which is the original. And then the right clone, which obviously is represented down here. So it's a bit more easier to do because you just put them, you snap them in position and then they look okay. The only thing you have to do with clones is to, let's see if I can check this. As you can see, the line, so I've put a lot of guidelines, but the line here is going through the middle, right? But our border is ending a little bit outwards, and this is because when you do the stroke style, I would recommend you extend it with the round cap or with the square cap, it doesn't matter. As long as it's extended and it's not short, then you're not gonna get any interruptions in your images. Because when you export, there will be some seams here. So it's important to just expand it a little. Just a tiny bit, where the intersections happen. Now, fortunately, I don't have many intersections. I have intersections at these edges here and here. And then I have an intersection over here. This is a full circle, so it doesn't matter. And then here. And that's it. The rest is just disconnected. Oh yeah, and here actually. But this one was quite okay for some reason, so I didn't bother that much. Now, let's see. Unintentional mistakes. So for example, let's look at this. At this element over here. So I did this interesting hatching, but I eventually left it be, simply because I feel it's too heavy and it's not enough breathing room, and it creates too much solid elements or shapes that kind of inhibit. It looks more like a car when you look from the above, like these are the wheels, if you want to imagine them like that. It's always nice to imagine your shapes. And for example, this shape looks like a crane with this little element. Initially when I placed it here, I didn't think it would surmise to this, but yeah, it really looks interesting. And this one looks kind of like an interesting couch or gun or whatever. This one looks like something like an alien embryo, I don't know, like this. And this would look like also a gun or a sheep or something, I don't know. And then initially I was going for like a cat face here. I don't it just looked funny. And then I've just duplicated like this, bam, 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 and it looked really epic and sexy, so I loved it. Now, for example, I didn't respect the 45 degrees on every little angle. So some angles, but you will not pick them up unless you really go in and look for them. Like for example, this one is definitely not 45. But it just looks so natural. It tends to go a little bit towards the organic side. And I've also made some other interesting mistakes here and there. And I could have corrected them to be even more symmetrical, but then you lose that personality. So you have to leave those imperfections, but those imperfections need to fall into the right position and just feel, you know, perfect. The perfect imperfections. Initially I didn't want to go with this. I thought it would be too heavy, but then I kind of thought, like, how can I direct the eye through the composition? Because obviously the center element is not symmetric. I mean, it is symmetrical from left to right, but not from top to bottom. So everything here is symmetrical from left to right and top to bottom. But then when I wanted to add the chaotic part with the center, I had to kind of make it sort of like these unique regions. And this gives it this appeal that it's not fully symmetrical in a way. So I went for a double circle here, because this is the first thing that I want people to focus on when they're going and scanning the image. So I want to latch with their eyes on this side. Then obviously this element over here is very prominent, so I want to keep it quite clean, but also give it enough breathing room around to kind of feel disconnected, floating, but also quite imposing, so it does not drag your eyes towards the sides. And then these elements, well, if I go to them, if I can find them. No? Oh, sorry, I have to click on this one. So for example, if I would disable this core piece, it would look quite bland. And it just needed that anchor point or something, so this one just felt right over here. Then I needed to add, for example, this place didn't have enough detail, it felt a bit bland. Like here it's okay to have filled shapes, because they tend not to take away from the centerpiece, but here was all the way to the edge, so I thought maybe I should add a bit of an interesting cutout to make the edge seem more interesting, more detailed. Then these things are quite simple. They're basically just lines, simple lines, borders actually, and or strokes. And then I've made endings with this circle things. Quite simple, nothing too crazy. Let's see how it looks without it. Bam. You see how much detail it adds? And then for the heavier lines, I just overlapped them and I did this thickness. Just feels a bit more interesting. And then I also added these elements here that are like diamonds. I actually call them diamonds. And they are kind of like bolts in a way, you see? It really feels like everything is kind of metallic, but also feels like an arm or something. I don't know, it's interesting. I also added tiny snippets of text in Japanese. And I've named them all. Like here in the text. This one is called the pillar. Just put this. So pillar, but oh, wait. So yeah, I made it with like this, without the circles, but I thought that it lacked something. It felt a bit too raw, and it wasn't kind of fitting in with the design. So this is why I went with the encircled one. And I feel it really pops in there better. As I said, I made variations. Now for the center, I think I've put it where? Not this one. Oh, it's in the center border on the decorative text. So we have here, for example, this is love and passion. This is blessing of the gods over here. And obviously it's mirrored. This is mirrored from left to right, so you don't find it everywhere. This is what I love. Then we have the power elect over here. And down here we have eternal fires of the kingdom. I don't know, I was just typing random words because Japanese is so compact. I was obviously using a translator because, yeah, clearly I don't know the symbols. But looks really nice. And, or chevrons, I don't know how they're called. So yeah, it kind of feels a bit like a technical thing, but we also keep the elements that feel very robust in there. So it's kind of like a cyberpunk art deco kind of a style, I think. I don't know. Good. Now let's talk a bit about variations. Because I've made quite a few. And actually I'm just gonna show you the final variations. So oh, actually I've also added an over effect with the film grain, the usual. But I'm not sure that YouTube compression might pick it up, but you will see it in the file when you download it, if you download it, if you are so kind to try it out and test it. Okay, so the first variation was this. Actually here you see that this one is full. Now I've made gradients for the thing here. This is the full in white. So there is quite a subtle change. I feel like this one is more grounded in a way. It gives a bit of three dimensionality. And now I went with this one. This one is the Blood Moon. And again, I've encountered the weird thing that the gradient stopped working after I saved it, but when I exported it worked, so I've put a bit of reddish in here. And this one feels a bit more focused and a bit more colorful. Again, it gives this three-dimensionality, this heaviness. And then I've tried this one, but this one kind of feels floaty to me, because as you can see, there is kind of a background here, but it's very indistinguishable. It's a very slight shade of it's a bit brighter than the background. But when we are moving to the reddish background, to the blood red background, we kind of see them there. Now, I could have probably avoided this and see how it went. I don't know, I kind of tinted everything towards the red a bit. I felt like it's more accurate. I could have went with a bluish as well, but I don't know, red is a bit more warm. It feels like heat, and I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's interesting. Obviously, this is my favorite so far, but this one isn't bad either. So these three variations are kind of what I settled upon. I feel like they're decent. So yeah, I hope you like it. Because if you don't like it, I'm gonna search you in your dreams and bring you nightmares with how to make vector art. I'm kidding. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next episode. Stay awesome. Bye.